Hey everyone, it's Dr. Rick with an unboxing of Keto Drive. Keto Drive is an exogenous ketone. And I keep on promising this, but I keep on postponing too because other things come up. But the work of Volek and Finney on ketosis has really, it was there about 20 or is it 30 maybe? 30 years ago, especially with Stephen Finney. In the use of ketosis for athletes. It kind of just piddled along, but with the somewhat failure of the Atkins folks, or the worry that Atkins will still lead to other disease processes, and then medical society pushing away Atkins, keto has found its way back in, or let's just call it low carbohydrate. Low carbohydrate dieting has found its way back in and finding some good sound results. These guys are great. Most of the people that, I should say scientists that are putting out the information on ketosis are PhDs. So they have sound ways of finding experimentation or protocols for experimentation and calculating the results. So I was not on the keto camp initially. I tried it myself. It was kind of tough on my gut. I have IBS. But there are ways to get into it, especially after reading and investigating. So if you are going into, this is why I'm doing it, a fasting mimicking diet, 5 days of fasting, 25 days of refeeding, following Walter Longo's techniques of study for cancer or autoimmune disease, or just trying to move your metabolic rate because it's too stuck. I think 5 days is great, and I'll put a link down below to the fasting mimicking diet, Dr. Rick Tutorial FMD. And that's why I'm getting into this, because I have a group of people that's trying this, and I have apprehensions that I'll be able to get into the diet. And also, that's number one, and the bottom line with the diet is when you drop and you calorically restrict your food for a week, something will happen. Usually your body gets triggered into starvation. Starvation kicks up ketosis and it turns down insulin. So when there's a lot of glucose, insulin gets turned on, and food, I'm going to bastardize this, but any fuel source that you eat goes into your fat system, into your visceral fat where you don't want it, instead of making hormones, building bone, making muscle. So when you have starvation though, insulin drops because there's nothing around and your body's trying to scramble to pull out the energy from those fat stores that you keep on pushing food and fuel into. So when you're in abundance and you're fed, you put fuel into your depot, whether it's there or here or your thighs or your butt. Insulin high usually means fuel goes into your depot stores because you're in abundance. And you want to eat so that when fall and winter come and you hibernate, you can pull out your fat stores from that. So the problem is in today's society that a lot of people, they have insulin all the time spiking up, and you become insulin resistant, and it sets up this terrible feedback loop for metabolic syndrome, but that's another lecture. Just with the fasting mimicking diet for 5 days, dropping to 1,000 calories and then 750 calories on the second, third, fourth, and fifth days, I wanted something for my patients to have a decrease in the hunger hunting hormone. And I think that if you have ketosis, which is why I like what these guys do, but I'm going to cherry pick. If I utilize my patients getting into a semi-ketotic state, during the 5 day, they will have better results. Mostly because when you're in a semi-ketotic state or a ketotic state, whether it's fasting ketosis, exercise-induced ketosis, or nutritional ketosis, there is a decrease in appetite. So there's a hunger suppression. And during the 5 days of the fasting mimicking diet, you're going to be hungry. So Walter Longo, even Jason Fung, in his intermittent fasting, the obesity code, usually throughout the book there's these warnings: do not or avoid the urge to binge, either after your attempt or during your fasting. And I just think that if you try for, and again, fasting versus fasting mimicking diet, it always will lower your fuel sources, put you into ketosis, turn off insulin. But the problem is the body has to have some time to adapt to ketosis. It's called being fat adapted. That's what a lot of the keto guys call it. And when you're fat adapted, you'll go, at least if your body and your brain and your muscles are used to it, your body will go into fat consumption and fat burning. But if you're not used to it and you go straight into the fasting mimicking diet or starvation, some might just call it starvation, you're going to have a terrible time with keto flu because your body, number one, it suddenly has no glucose compared to usual. Number two, it hasn't turned on ketosis, and you have to get used to ketosis. You have to get used to using that fuel source. And if you haven't ever done it before, it's going to take a little bit of time to turn on ketosis. So ketosis being turned off, never touched before, and then insulin being turned down, you're going to go through like no energy source. So if you try to exercise for the first time in a fat adapted in a fasting mimicking diet, or you try to do your usual job, problem solve, you're going to go through aches and pains, headaches, grouchiness, emotional upset because there's no fuel. Now the thing with doing this cheat, which is taking in exogenous ketones, this is a ketone salt, is that you will actually have available fuel and you trigger the system to start tasting this fuel source faster. So you can, it makes it easier to adapt to ketosis. That's why I like like exogenous ketones. Now whether you do, there's basically two forms of exogenous ketones. That's either going to be keto salts or beta hydroxybutyrate salts or ketone esters. Salts are solid and they also, so they're cheaper too, but they have a little bit of a GI upset. This is capsules, and per 2 capsules you get 1 gram of keto salt. Now the initiating level is usually between 7 and 15 grams a day of salts. And obviously everybody's a little different. You have to be careful about your gut. Doing 2 capsules will give me 1 gram. Doing 4 capsules will make 2 grams. Doing 6 capsules will give me 6 grams, which is kind of almost there. But I'll burn through this in about, it's 36 bucks for 60. So I'll burn through this in 10 days, which gets to be pricey. But if I'm just using it for my 5 days of the fasting mimicking diet, or the week before, which is what exactly I'm doing, the week before the 5 days, so that when I hit fasting mimicking, that full stride, my body will switch immediately over the ketosis, or at least being able to utilize that fuel source as I drop down my fuel from glucose. So I'll get through this, 36 bucks, 10 days. I can cut it in 5 because as of today, it'll be 7 days before I get to the experiment that my group is going to be doing on the 10th of June. So I think it's worth a try. The only problem I have is because of my IBS, I just want to make sure this doesn't flare me up. There are other, Pure Keto is a good company. There's also other salts that you can find on the market. You have to be careful about the quality. So I like to go to consumer labs, but they didn't review any keto salts or keto exogenous ketones. So you kind of have to go by reviews that you'll find. And one thing that is also good about salts is that they, aside from the gut irritation, they don't taste bad. The ketone esters, I've seen people take a shot of the ketone. They're expensive, but they massively drive up the beta hydroxybutyrate levels in patients or in people that use it. At least they're doing finger sticks as they do it, and it can drive from 0.5 millimolar to almost 7. That's unheard of within half an hour. That is great. I think that I'd save that mostly for Ironmen or people that are in professional sports, because it'll drive that fuel source up very high, consequently lower the glucose level very quickly. But it also fails quickly, or not fails, but fades quickly. So you'll have a fast spike and you'll have a fast drop. The salts will be low and steady all day long. You can probably dose this twice a day if your gut will tolerate it. Or if you tolerate all, say, 15 grams at the same time, great, go for it. But I think either way, if you're getting into the fasting mimicking diet, if you wanted to have the adaptation of your cells, your brain, your heart, your muscles to a ketotic state, it'd be nice to introduce this. It also might be nice because in ketosis, you lose that appetite. So that's number one, you get fat adapted before you get into the fasting mimicking and drop. So you can actually do this while still taking advantage of your regular diet, just to get the body used to it. So that is the only time you can actually be in both insulin secretion and semi-ketotic state together. It usually can't do both together, but when you are eating a regular diet, carbohydrate, hopefully healthy, protein and fats, but you also take exogenous ketones, you can actually have both things occur at the same time. Now, you're not going to want to do that forever. It's either going to be fat adapted or not fat adapted, but this is just for the fasting mimicking diet patients that I see that are going to try this thing. So whether you do the salt, that's the first benefit. Second benefit is that it also helps to decrease appetite. Now, in people who practice low-carb ketotic eating or nutritional ketosis, there is also, in addition to the decreased appetite, there's also fat burning. When you take exogenous ketones, you kind of avoid the nutrition part, but you just take this as an outside source. You might have the decrease, this is all surmised, you might have the decrease in appetite, but you might not have the fat burning. Hopefully with the fasting mimicking diet that we're all going to go through, that will cause the fat burning, and that will cause you to take, at least as far as Walter Longo's information, that will cause you to take the fuel outside of that stubborn, hard to get spot, the belly. It also causes massive hepatic or liver shrinking. If in case you have a fatty liver, it should start to get all that glycogen out of the liver, and you might be able to reset your metabolic rates so that when you go back into refeeding the 25 days after the fasting mimicking diet, you'll start to get that stem cell production, which usually doesn't happen until you either get stem cells injected to you or you're born. Aside from those two things, or you're post-chemotherapy, aside from those two times in your life, stem cells don't come up, which is why it's nice with fasting mimicking diet to go through the fasting mimicking, because on the 25th, on the 6th to the 25th, the 30th day, 6th to the 30th day after doing that 5-day fast, you're supposedly refeeding properly and getting the cells, the immune system, to reset itself, and the stem cells come out, and that's when the new cells can attack. They can reset and not attack your thyroid anymore, not attack your joints in thyroid disease, Hashimoto's, or rheumatoid arthritis, or Crohn's disease. You won't attack yourself anymore, but you'll attack the cancers and the infections, maybe even Lyme. So that's what my hopes are. Again, I'm going to try this and see what happens just from now until next Monday when I go and initiate the fasting mimicking. The keto esters I might try at one point in time and review as a unboxing, but they're really expensive and they taste nasty from the experiences I see on YouTube. So, and it's well documented that it tastes nasty. It tastes like jet fuel, I believe. So we'll see what happens with this. You'll have the salts that are also good for when you're on ketosis or you're on a fasting mimicking diet. You will lower your salt, your essential salts, and that's why it's nice to also to have the salt in the the keto salts. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. Oh, I didn't even unbox it. So I have my other things over here because this is another cheap way to kind of get into ketosis. I'm not going to get into full ketosis, but I believe that if I just start to initiate every once in a while, a higher than normal fat day versus glucose day, I might become slowly adapted. So if I ever go into starvation, a starvation diet like I'm going to do next Monday, the body can switch over without that keto flu. Just trying to beat the flu. I don't like going through withdrawal. So this is I just picked this up at Fruitful Yield. It was the cheapest one to start out with, and I wanted to start out so I can see how my gut tolerates it. But again, the limitations, it's only, and that's the size of the capsule. It's only 1 gram per 2 capsules. So I'll have to eat a lot of capsules. I can probably get that amount, 6 grams a day, but I'll have to eat all this stuff up, and we'll see what happens with my gut. So I'll report to you next time about what happens with the gut. I've mixed in my shake for the day. I'm coming off of a 16-hour fast, which is usually what I do, and I'm going to be starting my 8-hour feeding window at 12 noon. So I usually go 12 noon to 8 p.m. and that's it. That's my usual at this point in time. Has not affected my workout strategies, has not affected my muscle responsiveness, but I wanted to do this 5-day as something different to maybe get another inch away from my waist, or maybe improve my inflammatory markers in the bloodstream just a little bit more. Plus, I always like to experiment with my patients and make sure I know what they're going through. So this is MCT oil. I have another link to the thing I did on MCT oil box opening before. The keto, I don't have anything to do with these guys. I just saw them as the cheapest. There's a lot of powders that are there that might be able to mix in and get better responsiveness, or at least a better taste, but they were a little bit too expensive for me. I'm already investing in my nutrition and my boxes for FMD, so I'd like to keep it cheap for now. So if you have any comments down below on how you guys adapt or get fat adapted quicker, then please let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you at the next unboxing.